All right. Welcome to this episode of Warrior Week Parables from the Pit. My guest this week is Dr. Derek Price, a very close friend of mine, a brother of mine, also one of our coaches inside of the game of Warrior. So we'll get to hear Dr. Derek Price's story, an amazing fucking story. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Parables from the Pit. Derek, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Sam. I appreciate it, brother.
The show is about, we don't have a big audience, you know, and our intent is not to have a big audience. Our intent is to carry the message that resonates. And so our audience, what often they do is that they take the podcast and they send it to a guy that they think they should hear this. And I'm excited to hear your story today. The name of the podcast is Parable from the Pit, because we got stories from the fucking pit. And I know your life story, so I know that we're going to get into that place where, once you were, and how you find the path to come out, to move and accelerate and focus on, the growth that you have seen in your life. So the story begins... At least how I got to know Derek at Kokoro 45.
Yeah, that's right. I was 45.
I was one of the students attending Kokoro 45, but that part of this was like 6 months before attending Kokoro. I started watching these videos, and it was a character that kind of stand out in those videos, and it was always you. I don't know what it was. I don't know, like the things you would say, or maybe because you were the big guy. There was something that was just connecting me with you, and when I saw you at my Kokoro, I wasn't expecting you be there. So you're like this kind of celebrity to me, and I was like, oh fuck, it's Derek. And then it didn't go quite the way I wanted to go, right?
Yeah, no, it got a bit crazy kind of quick. I know who you were, Sam, and we all did, all the cadre and the team, because you'd done a pretty good job of representing your training. Yeah, coming into it, and we followed you and we watched you on your Instagram and on your Facebook, and you put it out there because you coach, thousands of people, and you got a lot of followers. And you did a really good job putting your training up there, and we noticed it the whole way through, right? So
we're getting the same situation in yesterday, so we're gonna move here. Okay. There we go, and we're gonna avoid this camera problem. We're gonna fix it right here. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So anyway, I walk into that particular class. I walk into that class, and I know who you are, and we recognize each other. Yeah. And you say a couple things to me, and it was right before we started, and you're standing there on the grinder. Everybody's nervous, and everybody's waiting for this thing to pop off and waiting for the grenades and the sparks and the hoses, what they anticipate. And they're sweating, and they're dripping, and they're shaking and shivering, and they're just nervous. And, we make eye contact, and you look over at me, and you're smiling, and I'm like, well, who is this guy? So if you remember, that's when I went and grabbed that handful of pine needles, right? And I started sticking pine needles down the top of the back of your shirt and made this massive bump like a beach ball back there of just super uncomfortable, pokey pine needles. Like, that'll take the smile off this guy's face. But sure enough, it didn't.
I remember that, man. I remember that. Hey, Dr. Derek Price just come inside of this view here. We're done with that camera. So there we go. All right. I remember that, man. And so I'm standing there. Later on, I'm doing sit-ups. And in doing sit-ups, there's a guy that calls me out from cheating because he's like, hey, listen, man, you're not going all the way down. Yeah. So I'm confused. I'm like, Coach told me to wear this thing, so I have this thing. Now you tell me to take it off. I'm not sure. He's like, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, we're looking for fault, right? Like nobody can be a winner here at the beginning. We can't have everybody just come out and do great. We have to represent some stuff. So early on, we're looking for, how can I get under your skin? How can I shake you up? How can I rattle you? And, you had that crazy smile, and you're looking around like you're enjoying this process. So even though we had built this massive lump behind your back, we knew that you couldn't go all the way down. We had to yell at you for something, So, Sam, go all the way down. You're like, I'm going as far back as I can. We're like, not good enough.
So, I go through that day. I didn't complete that experience. And towards the end of that experience, I talk about this in my book, Every Man a Leader. You're also included in that chapter because you're part of my life. You're part of a chapter of my life that took place. It was hard because at the end of 16 hours, I was let go. And I was let go, and I was in a place of turbulence of emotion, not knowing, you know, part of me was like, oh shit, I get to go home and I don't have to continue with this shit. But the majority of my, you know, my feelings were like, fuck, man, I worked my ass off like for 250 days for this. And like, this cannot be. And like, just because of a couple of minutes of, you know, being late on a run or whatever. And I remember you walking towards me and you asked me for a talk. You know, say, hey man, you want to talk?
Yeah. You know, a lot of the people that go to those types of courses aren't necessarily looking to go into the military. They're not looking to be a SEAL. They're looking for a unique individual challenge for themselves, and everybody has a reason and a why to it. So when we have somebody that comes through a program like this, and for whatever reason it doesn't work out, you know, sometimes it's physical, sometimes you're sick, sometimes mentally you weren't prepared, whatever, but you were very well prepared. But there was just some obstacles that got in your way, you know, at that particular time, and it didn't work out. And I always feel like the student that took the time to invest, that put their time in hard into it, should be able to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
So, you know, I came and found you, and we went inside, if you remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we went inside, and we had a really good conversation about what was going on, what had happened, some things that you could do going forward in the future. And, you know, I thought that was a great process for both of us. One is I'd like to find out like who you were, what you were about, why you were there.
Yes.
And all your intentions were honest and your integrity was solid. And, you know, that made me immediately like jive with you and say, hey man, like this is a solid person. I didn't know you other than your posts, your Instagram posts and Facebook posts. And now I'm getting to know who you are. And I realized that what you're doing is authentic. Yeah. And I think that's where kind of that bond happened, you know. And
well, that was, and I've said this many times to you. I've said it also in the book as well. I mean, that was the gift of that experience for me, my friendship with you, because that conversation sparked the friendship. Because I remember you reaching out to me and said, "Listen, man, like, hey, deal with this. Know that this is, you know, part of the journey, part of the learning. There's a lesson for you here, and when you're ready, like, come back, right? Yeah. Come back, and I'll help you get back. You know, sure. Hit me up, and I did, and so the gift of Kokoro was truly finding your friendship inside of that, because I could just imagine me going through that, and even though, like, I can just imagine, right, finishing the 3 days and you being part of the process and getting somehow some piece of glory out of that. Knowing that fucking Kokoro and the tragedy that happened at the end of that Kokoro, it's just like, dude, I don't think that the friendship would have forged. So right. The man upstairs knew something.
Yeah, you know, sometimes we can't see the forest through the trees, and we always think like, you know, in the moment.
Yes.
Why is this happening to me in this moment? But in the look back, the reality is, had you gone through that day and that camp and everything went perfectly, I'm sure that we'd still be friends.
Sure.
But we wouldn't have had the opportunity to connect that we did the way we did. But life put us in that scenario where we got an opportunity to connect. And we've done some amazing things since then. We've had great conversations. I've had an opportunity to coach you. You've coached me. We work back and forth. I help.
We went fucking in the middle of the ocean.
We lost in the middle of the ocean together. You know, things have been crazy.
With so-called support, Will, so-called support, Will, leaving guys in the ocean by themselves.
As a Will Tabbitt smackdown.
Will Tabbitt. We'll talk about that in a second. So I from that moment, obviously, we've done a bunch of stuff. One of the things that you've done is that you've been inside of the game here with us at Warrior. You've coached and you've seen up close and personal on the other side what guys go through. And today we want to hear your story, right? Today we want to hear Derek's story. I know your story really good, but I want to kind of like paint the image of who Dr. Derek Price is, and even before Doctor, right? Who was Derek, right? It started from where, and what are some of the obstacles that you had to face? Because I know, you know, we'll get to that point, but there's a pivoting point in your life where you were in the deepest fucking pit, like the worst place that you've ever been.
Yeah. And
ultimately, you found the light out of that pit, which completely changed your life.
Sure.
So we're going to talk about that, and why don't you just take us to how did this whole thing started?
Well, you know, Sam, to give you the most honest answer, I have to kind of go back to the very beginning, because I think that your life experiences, they sum up to make you who you are, right? And when I go back to the beginning, I have grown up in a single-parent family. I was unfortunate that I lost my father early on in life. When I was 7 years old, he passed away from brain cancer. And I had a mom who's just a saint and just worked her butt off, doing everything she could as a teacher and running extra classes and et cetera. But I also had 2 younger brothers. So from an early on point of view, I got put in that role of kind of taking over the man's obligations and not necessarily providing. I was 7 years old. What am I going to provide for, right? But to step up and be somebody that just had to get things done, somebody that had to take authority, had to, try and contribute. I mean, I had the paper route. I was out there at 4 a.m. doing my thing, going through high school. Everything goes good. Mom comes to me and she's like, "Hey, college is super important, but I don't have any money, and I don't know what you're going to do about that." So knowing that early on, I said, well, if I'm going to go to college, I got to get a scholarship. So put all the extra hours in and did everything I had to do from, my mentors and coaches, amazing coaches that helped me along the way. They got me there, and, first time out of the box, I go to junior college from a high school. I wanted to go play huge football, but I just wasn't ready for it. My body wasn't ready. I didn't have the experience. It wasn't there. Go to junior college and, right out of the chute, hurt my knee, kind of sit out the year, have a good training in the offseason, come back the second year. And I had enough interest at that point in time that I actually had a bunch of colleges calling me, trying to give me scholarships. And
how old were you by then?
Probably like 19 years old here. 19 years old going.
So hold on one second. So sure. I want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously faced tragedy and pain very early on, right? At age of 7.
Sure.
Losing your dad, man. Like, it's just like that's like something that pulls you in a pretty dark place at that age, emotionally, feelings, and then being in a place where money is challenged,
Oh, yeah.
and then having to count on yourself. You said like you were passing papers and in order to get some extra change.
Yeah.
And to kind of become a father figure almost by 19 for your brothers, like by default.
Yeah, by default, but it's just it's the world that I know, you know what I mean? So I can say, I didn't know that we didn't have a lot of money until later on in life. I look back and now I have bills.
Yeah.
And I go,
fuck,
Mom, how did you do that? Like, well done. Tortillas and butter for breakfast were a staple in the house back then. And you just think that's what it is until you learn later on that it's because that's what's affordable at the time,
It's crazy because I go back to I go back to my childhood, right? And this podcast, man, like, we don't fucking, we have nothing to hide. I go back to my childhood, and I remember it was 1988, and we've just, kind of like escaped from Iran and declared refugee status in Canada. And it was the first couple of months where we were in the transition of moving on my uncle's house and getting my own apartment. So, yeah, you talked about tortillas and butter. Us was cornflakes and sugar, like pure sugar and water, right? Because not often we had milk. And if if milk was there, great. If it wasn't, it would be water. And, not too long ago, I found myself eating that with my son. And as I was eating the cornflakes, I had this urge to go get some like sugar, and I don't eat sugar, man. Like the white sugar stuff, like there's all kind of shit right now, stevia and all kind of shit, right? So I'm like, no, man, I need some sugar, and somehow I found it at home, and I put it on it, and I explained to my son that this is what we were eating most of the time, and I remember at night this is I guess at that time was a bit embarrassing, but today it's part of life. We would drive around with my dad's car, and we would go on Tuesdays or on Thursdays, I don't know. But Tuesday and Thursday night, we would go and like pick up things in people's garbage, like, maybe an old sofa or toys. And a lot of my toys and a lot of my shit came out for shit that people put out. And I'm grateful for the fact that, I had some shit and the people that put it out. But that's the kind of shit that used to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I've shopped at the day-old bakeries. I've shopped at the dented tuna can stores, and there's no shame in that. I actually take pride in how I came up. And there's a lot of people came up a lot worse than me. So I'm not belly aching about it at all. It is what it is. My life is what it is. I love it. Wouldn't change anything. There's definitely a relationship between people who have early on adversity and deal with it and their overall success later on in life. A lot of the guys I know that I look up to have very similar stories. Something around that, like 12 to 15 years old in that ballpark, went completely south on them, and they were able to sort it out, recover, and rebound. And maybe it's through like that training that they got that as other things came at them in life, like they just, oh man, easy day, you know, compared to what I'd been through before, like easy, no problem.
You know, part of it is like, because you mentioned training. Part of it could be, you know, intuition and self-training, and for me, I think a lot of it was, you know, just this belief in God, right? It's just believe in God and getting guidance, and these little signs that I would get from time. You know, I don't understand much. I couldn't interpret those signs and those conversations. But now that I look back as an adult, you know, as if somebody was watching over me. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so looking at the roadmap of what the early ages of your childhood, my childhood, there was this. How was the presence of God in for you at that time?
You know, that's a great question, Sam. It's something I look back on quite a bit now. I've definitely been blessed, you know, like I've definitely been blessed, and not just in experiences. I've lived a remarkable life. My list of things I've done is you know, sometimes I look at it and I'm even like, wow, you know, like when I start listing things, it gets a little bit crazy. But I was also blessed in the way that, you know, and not being egotistical, but I was given a gift. I was given genetics that allowed me to run a certain speed, to grow to a certain height, to become a certain strength, and have the coordination to hold it all together to the level to where people thought that, hey, we should pay this guy to play sports.
Right,
like to be in the NFL, you know?
right.
I think, you know, if you're going to be a professional athlete, there's some level of that just came with here's the vehicle you get to drive on this earth, and it's not just a willpower. If I really, really want it, I can be a pro athlete.
100%.
No, you're either running a 4.5 and you're 260 pounds, you bench press 500 pounds, or you don't. You know, like it's one or the other, and it doesn't matter how hard you want that. So not to say that all dreams can't be worked towards.
Yes.
But there is a limitation, or what I like to call, like, there's a potential.
Yes.
And you and I have had this discussion. There's a potential. We have a potential within us, and that's really become my true focus and my passion now. And it came out early on when I became a physician, and I'm seeing patients, to when I ran CrossFit gyms, doing some personal coaching, working with Spartan 7, working with SEALFIT, working with Warrior. It's always been about trying to bring people to their highest level so they can realize their best potential. Right?
So
getting the most out of
100%. So we go back to 19. There you are, like, you get into the world of football in college, and you're pretty good at it. Like, let's just put that out.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of guys that are a whole lot better than me. You know, a lot of times I was in the right place at the right time, and I just happened to be on the field when good things happened.
And then how did your career actually led you to inside of the NFL?
Yeah, so I go through you know, a big pivot point for me was and this really allowed me to learn to trust my gut. You know, so like I said, after my freshman year at junior college, I had offers and full scholarships to go play football other places, and that's ultimately the dream. Junior college is kind of a stepping stone to move you on to the next level, and I had the opportunity to take those, and I had a coach, David Rice, great coach, who sat me down and said, hey, listen, your potential is going to allow you to do more. You just got to let it mature a little bit. So I'm going to tell you, don't take those scholarships. I mean, and that's that low temptation. It's that right here, right now.
Right.
And don't take those. Come back, put another year of work in, and let's see what happens.
You were 19.
And I'm 19. So
dude, how do you deal with a decision like that? Because it's pretty attractive.
Yeah, it's super attractive. You know, it's one of those things that by that point in my life, and maybe it was because I came up the way that I did, I had learned to trust my intuition, trust my gut, and not go against it. And my gut said, I feel like I can accomplish more. So I come back that second year in junior college and end up, you know, player of the year and all this, all that, and blue chip All-American and, you know, et cetera. A lot of things just went my way that year. And, you know, I pretty much had scholarships anywhere I wanted to go. I chose University of Iowa. And I was a Hawkeye for the next 3 years after that.
Fuck yeah. And then what happened next?
So I finished up college football at University of Iowa. Football was a means to an end for me. You know, I didn't have the ability to pay for college. That was my way to pay for college. I love the camaraderie, right? I love the guys. I love hanging out with the guys. I love being in a group that has a similar purpose, and we're all moving in the same direction, the same heartbeat. The games and the fanfare, that wasn't me. The spotlights and the interviews, that wasn't my jam. So I didn't love football. I loved the people I was with.
Got it.
So as we finished college, I basically am ending that chapter in my life, and I decided, hey, I'm going to go home. I graduate college. I graduate University of Iowa. I'm going to go home, and I'm going to get a job, and you know, I guess that's where this is going. And Chuck Long, who was the runner-up to Bo Jackson for the Heisman was one of my coaches at Iowa at the time, and just blessed. The guy picked up the phone, and this is one man's action, right? Guy decides on a Tuesday, picks up the phone, calls me. Hey, Derek, it's Coach Long. You're going to regret if you don't give it a shot. You do whatever you want, but I just wanted to tell you that. I felt like I was prompted. I need to tell you that. I said, okay. You know what? This guy thought enough to call me. If I'm back in Arizona, he's in Iowa, to call me. He has no gain from this whatsoever. No, I'll give it a shot. So I make some calls, and I get some training sessions set up, and I get scouted a bit, and things work out well, and I sign as an undrafted free agent, the day of the draft, and go up to Detroit and end up making the team as an undrafted free agent, make the active roster, and pretty much played in every game going through the season. And tragedy strikes in the season, much like your microphone just now.
Right.
But but it's unexpected, right? Out of nowhere.
So then, this thing is pretty interesting. But for those of you who can see it, you can see the situation that we are in. For those of you that can hear us, just imagine and the mic just dropped. But we're going to fix that. Inside of that, how long were you part of the Detroit?
Yeah, so I had I've had 1 full year. So came in and played for a year, and with about 4 games left, Sam, I'm running down on a kickoff, and the game was different back then. We were just just smash heads, break face masks. That was the game.
Yes.
And so I'm trying to do my best, and I dive into a pile, and my neck goes one way, my body goes the other way, and my arm goes numb.
Okay.
I don't lay down. I'm able to get off the field, and I just feel like I have a stinger, which is just like a lightning bolt just shot through my arm. I can't feel my fingers. I'm standing there on the sidelines. I'm like, oh man, this is painful, but.
You were still on the field?
Oh yeah, 100,000 people watching. We're on TV. It's an NFL game. I'm on TV. I'm not gonna lay on the field. If I don't have to, I get off the field. I don't say anything to anybody, and I keep playing. And I have 4 more games, and it just gets continually worse. And every time.
What happened in between, like when you went home and shit like that? Like you just kept it as a secret?
Yeah, man. Like
didn't even tell the players or the coaches?
No. Back in those days, we were paid every week, and if you got cut, you're done getting paid. No guarantee.
The pressure
contracts.
is on.
Yeah, man. So
you're like, okay, I'm gonna deal with this.
I got to stay out of the training room. In my opinion, I'm lucky to be here.
Yeah,
right? I'm lucky to be here. Heck, I even asked the coach once. I was like, "Why don't you guys throw me the ball more?" And he's like, "Because still don't even know your name." I'm like, "Okay, check. Now I know where I'm at." Right? He's like, "Because that's Barry Sanders, that's Herman Moore, that's Brett Perryman, and I still don't know you." I was like, "Okay, point made." So I'm lucky to be here. So I'm hiding out from the trainers, man. The last thing I want to do, I'm on the field every day. I'm on the field playing.
Talk about
games
fucking
on Sundays.
stress, man.
I'm not. I'm gonna hold this one down myself.
Okay.
But we get to the last game, and I can vividly remember I was lining up as a fullback and doing some motion plays and doing some lead blocking for Barry Sanders, amazing human, and just smashing heads with linebackers. And every time before the play, I was just thinking, this might be the time when it really goes. My arm's numb, my neck hurts, I can't feel half of my spine. Things are bad. But hey, as luck would have it, it didn't. I was able to escape and get home after the season. And do my best to try and rehabilitate a little bit. But, I think you and I spoke a little about the difference between being hurt and being injured.
Yeah.
I had hoped that I was hurt.
Yeah.
And I had written this up in my mind that I was hurt. And just work hard, it'll go away, work hard, it'll go away. I re-signed another contract, come back to Detroit, and realize I'm injured, man, because now everybody's looking at me going, "What's wrong with your arm? Why is it shaking? Why is it the size of a toothpick? You lost all
so
the
before you
musculature."
realized that you were injured, right? Let's just go back
Okay.
to you're hoping that that you're hurt,
Right.
but then what are the things that are happening inside of your head? Because you're like, what if it is an injury, and what if what if I lose my arm, and what happens to my career? What was some of the thoughts that you allowed in your mind, or maybe you didn't? You say, "Fuck off." It's just.
I definitely did. It's unique that you're asking me that, because I don't think anybody's ever asked me that before.
No, because that's the place where we're fucking alone, man.
Yeah, and if I'm being honest, I knew when it first happened that was it.
Shit.
I knew that was it, but I just, hey, if you ignore a problem, it'll go away, right?
Yeah. Put the dust
I'll just
under the
bury
carpet,
it. Yeah, I'm just going to bury it. and I'm a tough guy through this, and it's going to get better. But when I was at home, in the off season, I'm trying to work out. My arm's getting weaker and weaker. My tricep and my whole left arm kind of deteriorated down to like the size of a high school girl's arm. I couldn't. By the time I had surgery, Sam, the surgeon put a 10-pound weight in my hand. I couldn't push it off my body.
So here you are looking at yourself. Like, I want you to bring yourself back to seeing yourself in the mirror and seeing your arm, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at your arm, and this thing is like kind of like without a shirt, and this thing is like smaller than the other size.
By a lot.
And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was a little concerned.
And inside of that, like did your mind go somewhere ever thinking that, what am I risking here?
I don't think I ever got around to what am I risking anymore?
Yeah.
Because I don't know that I had that mindset. I didn't have the mindset of worrying about me. It hadn't been something I've been that concerned about.
Yeah, as young guys, I get that. We don't click.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. I was 22 years old. I'm living in the moment. Like I'm right here, right now.
But you had no one to share this with either.
I had to keep it under wraps.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, because so I had a 1-year contract at Detroit, and so I go home, and I'm at home injured, waiting to get another contract.
Yeah,
and they called me on the phone. We negotiated a contract. I signed it. I can't. Hey, I got a broke arm.
Yeah, that would have been.
And my neck is busted, and I'm done. So, but it was when I came back to that first, that OTA, that first camp.
Yeah.
That everybody was like, whoa, what's going on with you? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like everything's normal. Well, they whisked me away and had a bunch of MRIs done, and a couple weeks.
They
later,
noticed the arm.
Yeah. I'm 260 pounds with a 12-inch arm on the left side and a 20-inch arm on the other side. So, yeah, it was pretty bad. So they take me out to California, and again, I was blessed. I had an amazing agent who got me to the right surgeon, the right facility, and I had some blessed surgeons that took care of me. And
what was the issue?
Amazing. Ended up just breaking my neck. So
the neck was broken all this time?
Yeah. So it was broken.
Like broken or fractured?
Well, it was similar, same. So basically, on the MRI, you see a bunch of bone fragments, and the disc had ripped out, and it was all in the space that the nerve goes through, and it was all compressed in there. It's called like a sequestered disc and fragmented.
And it pushed the nerves on the arm.
Pushed the nerves going into the arm. So a lot of times I used to say like, oh, my shoulders really hurt. Maybe I have a shoulder issue, and then a shoulder issue, I'm just going to deal with it, right? But it was the nerves going from the neck to the shoulder that were damaged, but my brain would recognize that as shoulder pain.
I see.
But the reality was it was all smashed.
Was it also critical, meaning that another shock to it could have actually make your neck snap, and from you could be paralyzed or die?
Yeah, at that level. I mean, you think about, you got,
fucking
260-pound guys going, I'm going to run at you, you run at me, and
with a broken fucking neck.
Let's smash faces as hard as we can, right? There's a lot of force that it generates that way, so... I got scared stiff by the surgeons that were like, this could have happened and that could have happened, and this, you're lucky and you're lucky and you're lucky and you're lucky, and maybe I was lucky. I had the surgery, and plates and screws and bolts and all that stuff put in the front of my neck, and I go back to Detroit after the surgery, thinking, okay, I'm gonna recover from this, I'm gonna play, and the reality was the insurance wouldn't cover me anymore. They wouldn't let me play, and I had a very honest coach, Bobby Ross, pulls me into the office, and he said, hey, man, I like you. You're a great kid. People around here like you. The players like you. Coaches like you. But even if you could clear that insurance, because I was going to petition it and fight it, he goes, I will never play you. You will never play on the field for me, because it's the wrong thing to put you into that position.
Wow.
So we sat there for a second. There was a moment of silence, and he said, but, here's the deal. We did sign a contract. We're going to honor the contract. And you can be on injured reserve, and you can hang out all year. And you can travel with the team, and you can be part of it, and you can have fans, and you're still there, and be on the sidelines and be on the bus and live that life, for another year. Or we shake hands and you go get started. You go do whatever you're going to do.
Wow.
It took me about 5 seconds. I said, Coach, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
And
walk out the door.
How old were you?
23 at the time.
So we're gonna roll back.
Yeah.
And we're gonna slow down on that 5 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the fucking NFL we're talking about, bro. We're talking about like national TV. We're talking about like fans. We're talking about like a prestige life, and we're talking about a fat paycheck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, things were going good.
So, you could have that for another year.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. Here's how you could think about it. You're like, okay, listen, I'm going to take a year. I'm going to decompress.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to build myself mentally. I'm going to collect the paycheck. I'm going to be part of this. I'm going to figure out inside of that what opportunities I'm going to find. Or you just said, if it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I didn't sign up to be a fucking, somebody that I didn't sign up to be a fucking water boy.
Right.
I signed up to play, and if I can't play, I'm going to go play somewhere else.
That's right. That's
so,
exactly it.
So that's the power of, where do you think that came from, man? Is it the years of you being able to just count on you?
I'm going to go back to I trust myself.
Yes.
Right? I have a great trust for myself. And again, that's not an egotistical thing. I'm not boasting. It's not a power that I have that you or anybody else doesn't.
Yeah.
But I listen to my voice. And, the voice was, you're not the guy that's going to stand on the sidelines and get any soul satiety here. Like, that chapter just closed. So you can sulk. You can fake it and hang out.
Yeah.
Or you can start this new adventure. And who knows what that adventure is? I didn't know what that adventure was. So I literally go home, hang out with some of my mentors. Again, my life is filled with mentors. I've been blessed to always have like the right people come into my life at the right times. Hanging out with a couple guys, a guy named Dr. Jeff Glaus comes into my life, and we start pounding around a little bit. And he's like, "Hey man, you should go to chiropractic school. You'd be great at it. You love fitness, you love health, you love changing people. I see
you broke your own fucking neck. You should know more
you
about it.
You understand neck pain more than anybody on the planet. Like,
so you won't ask anybody to do anything you haven't done or had happen to you.
So I go, that's a great idea. Which one should I go to? He goes, well, there's one in Iowa. It's called Palmer. You should go there. I said, okay, cool. Yeah. So this was, I hate to date myself, but this is before the internet, and I'm married now, right? I'm married to my wife, Heather. And I call her up.
How old was your wife at that time?
Heather, if I married her at 24, she was 23.
So let's talk about that, because there was another person involved in the decision, right?
Yeah.
When you have a girlfriend or your fiance, or in this case your wife, it's a wife of an NFL player. Like that's the status that she has.
Yeah.
Because we tend to dismiss this, right? But it's true. Like, status actually matter. Like, it fuels us and it gives us significance.
Right.
Doesn't matter who the fuck you are. You can be the toughest guy. The fact that you're the toughest guy, that gives you fucking status and significance. So here's your wife married to an NFL player, which is like a status for her.
Right.
Now all that is gone.
Instantly.
Like, how did she? How did she dealt with this, man? Because it must have been hard for her too, man.
You would think that.
Yeah.
But that's not her either. And I keep saying it again. It's like a broken record. I'm blessed, right?
Yeah.
I was blessed to meet my soulmate who sees life the way I see it. And we've been married, 25 years now, happily and super, super happily. I'm not just saying that because she's in the next room. Like, it's legit. But, I said, hey, here's our situation. What do you think? She's like, well, what do you think? I said, well, let's go to chiropractic school in Iowa. She's like, okay. So we got on the phone and said,
what did she have to give up?
Well, she was an Arizona Cardinal cheerleader, and she was captain.
Shit.
And she was heading to the Pro Bowl. And it was one of those things that was like, she can't go down that path if I'm going down this path. And so she said, okay, I'm done. That's it. Went into her coach, and she said, hey, I'm married. My husband's going this way. He's a Detroit Lion. I'm going. And
it's that trust that kind of pours.
Exactly.
Exactly from like, because you kind of shower in it. She gets to be part of it too. Like that confidence, that certainty.
Right.
We're talking about 23. Like, you understand that most 23-year-old have their fucking head in a bathroom in a toilet, including myself at that time, because we were fucking blacked out. So man. This is pretty solid decision in front of real tragedy like life has put in front of you. You know what I mean? And sacrifices. Like, when you look back in your marriage, and today you have 3 daughters, and you share stories about you and your mom, it's like, man, it's not just like, we don't call this thing soulmate just because it's fucking fancy to say so. It's because we have sacrificed for each other.
Oh,
like,
for
we've
sure.
trusted each other.
For sure. She has sacrificed for me. I honestly, I have no scenario where I've ever had to really sacrifice for her, Sam. So in all fairness, she has allowed life decisions as a team, as the two of us, to trend in what I needed to go do. And she's been just amazing.
I'm thinking about what you said, and this may be a very common thing for all men.
Right.
Because I truly feel that my wife has done a number of sacrifices very similar to yours for me. But as far as I can roll back, I can't really recall a sacrifice. I mean, I worked hard. You worked hard.
Sure.
We worked our ass off and, provide for family and create opportunities. But man, like, I got to be honest, like I haven't sacrificed. She had. Like, I just have to be fucking. And I don't know if this is a common thing between men or not. I'm gonna study this shit. I'm gonna figure this out.
You will.
I'm gonna figure this out, because if it's a common thing, then what is it that causes women to sacrifice for men?
I don't know. I can only speak about mine. I can only speak about Heather, about my wife, and from day one, we went on a date. We went on a blind date out of high school. So somebody that listening to this podcast may not realize where Heather and I started. We started like the summer we graduated high school. We went on a blind date, and on that very first blind date, I said to her, "Wouldn't it be funny if we ended up getting married?" Because we're on a blind date, right? And lo and behold, we do, right? We date for 5 years. I go to Iowa. She stays at Arizona State. Long-distance relationship. It works, which most of them, as don't.
Yeah,
Especially at that age.
Come
right?
on, man.
Dude. I'm a college football player. She's a cheerleader, and it works.
Both of you guys are super popular.
It works. And she goes on to be an Arizona Cardinal cheerleader. I'm a Detroit Lions player, and she throws in the towel on all of it and says, I'm on your team. Let's do this together. And
shit.
So it's like as soon as she decided to make that move and we get married, I'm like, okay, I know you signed up to be an NFL wife. Check it out. Like, that's over.
So you pursue the career of becoming a doctor. You become a doctor. You open a multi-million-dollar clinics for the past 20 years. You've been running them, growing the businesses, multiple branches, helping thousands of patients.
Thousands.
Like healing. I often said that to you, like, bro, like you're a healer. Just to be proximity of you, just heal something, and then using your hand, putting your hand on them, adjusting and helping them lifestyle, health, and a lot of times it's just above and beyond that, because they kind of open up to you. It's like here's how my body's fucked up, but here's how my life is fucked up.
So being a provider, allowed me to hone a craft that I didn't know would shape my future. And what I mean by that is, I have had the opportunity to have so many patients come into my life, 50, 80, 100 new patients a month for 20 years.
Fuck.
That's a lot of touching.
People,
That's
man.
a lot of people that I realized pain, discomfort, illness, sickness, infirmity, whatever, is very rarely a one-to-one relationship. It's not my neck hurts because of this, or I have headaches because of that. It's always multifaceted. And as I became more mature in my practice and as a provider, I learned to delve into things and discuss, well, tell me about your home life. And tell me about, what do you do for fun? What are you doing for recreation? Well, outside of, this exercise that I've given you, like, let's talk about your diet and nutrition, because food is a drug too. We need to fuel you with healthy stuff. And I really started to develop what is now how I do my personal executive coaching.
Yeah.
I started it back then without knowing it.
Yeah.
Because, as a chiropractor, I can't give you a surgery or a pill.
Yeah.
You're literally coming to me
in
its most truest essence and saying, I have XYZ problem, and I'm looking at that and saying, well, here's what I can deliver to you.
Yeah.
And it's 90% information.
Yeah.
Hey, go home, do this, eat this, let's lose this much weight, let's get more flexible here, let's strengthen these muscles, blah, 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 and sorting it out, right?
Yeah. So what's the program's name? You said
So I have a company now that I'm the CEO and founder of. It is called High Powered Life.
So High Powered Life. I want to talk about that, because you and I went back and forth multiple times on this. High Powered Life is truly about three things, right? It's about the biology of a man. It's about what a lot of people out there call like health and wellness, but we're not going to use those fucking fancy words.
Yeah.
And we're going to just get to the point of, listen, man, like, if you don't know what's going on with your body, if you're not on top of your body, and if you're not here anymore, then there's no point on even continuing in point 2 and 3. He's like, first check is your body, your biology, understanding of your biology, and being happy, not only with your self-image, but how your body makes you feel internally, right?
Sure.
Hormones, food, and all kind of stuff. Like, the list goes on. You're an expert at.
Yeah.
Second layer of this is what's going on the inside. Because on the outside, biologically, we're all very similar, but it's on the inside that changes everything about our biochemistry. And this is our experiences, how we think, and our relationship with, I often say, with ourselves, with God, with others. And inside of that, managing these multiple relationships, right? Which ultimately you put the outside and the inside together, and like you have found an interesting intersection of these two, and an acceleration of that intersection into almost an infinite destination. Yeah. So why don't you talk about what that third pillar, what it is, because that's truly, I believe, in your program, you have created multiple blueprints that will lead a man towards that third destination. And I'm going to have you talk about that, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about like what fucking qualifies you to even get there, right?
Probably the most important point,
well,
right?
I know, because I've followed it, right? Yeah. So I just want to like list it down. Yeah. So go ahead.
So in my discussions with thousands of patients, I have used big words, and I have impressed myself with using big words as much as possible.
That was funny.
But here's the reality: is people don't understand what I'm saying. So I have discovered that brilliance comes from what's the least amount of words I can use, and what's the simplest way that I can relay this information. So I've come up with this like a visual. I think if you see a visual, it makes sense to you. So think of, for those of you guys that can't see this right now, a three-legged stool.
Yeah.
Okay, I visualize a three-legged stool, and that encompasses how I look at humanity, how I look at a person. The top, the stool itself, is the platform.
Yeah.
And that platform is what supports your weight. It's you. And in this particular, when I'm breaking down the human being, that platform is your total life experience, and that big circle is your margin of experience, and you're right in the center of it. And personal growth happens when you grow that platform. But it's supported by three legs of the stool, and all three legs of the stool have to be balanced. You can't have a stool where one leg is shorter, one leg is longer, one leg is more robust, because then it's going to be out of balance. And of those three legs that I have found that work for me when I identify is the health and wellness, obviously, is one of the legs. The relationships, Sam, is the other leg, and the one that you're getting at is the pursuit of happiness. Yeah. And the pursuit of happiness often gets overlooked because it comes across as being greedy. It comes across as being, self-indulgent. Oh, I want to be happy. I want to go talk to people about being happy. Who am I to deserve to be happy? Listen, you should be happy. Listen, you're given a life. You should be happy. Why should you not be in the pursuit of happiness? Like, has anybody ever been happy and said, hey, man, I wish I really wasn't happy? The answer is no. That has never happened. So when you take those three, what I call pillars, health and wellness, relationships, and pursuit of happiness, it's those three pillars that support you, the platform. And they sum together to give you your volume, your platform. But it's not within those pillars that you can make changes. And I think health and wellness is too big of a category. I think relationships is too big of a category. Pursuit of happiness is too big of a category. So I can make changes to that level, to that paragraph. So it is the foundation. I believe in the three systems. The foundations that encompass each one of those pillars is where I can get to a quantifiable, identifiable metric. For example, health and wellness. One of the foundations of that might be cardiovascular. It could be strength. It could be work capacity. It could be your blood panel. It could be your food allergies. It could be anything that has to do with your health and wellness. But for simplistic purposes, let's just say we're talking about Sam's cardiovascular fitness. And Sam's cardiovascular fitness is measured in running because that's what he likes to do. Well, I can easily look at that and say, Sam, right now you're running 2 miles, and it makes sense logistically and logically that if you're running 5 or 6 miles, your cardiovascular health may improve, right? Everybody would agree with that. That's something I can look at, I can track, I can record, I can measure, but most important, Sam, I can make an action plan on how to get from that 2 miles to that 5 miles. Yeah. Because you and I discussed this, if the longest, Sam, that you've ever run is 2 miles, then that's your margin of experience. That's your circle. You're the X in the middle. That's your circle, and that 2 miles is the outer margin. You don't know what's outside of that circle. You've never been there. You can hypothesize. Correct. You can read books about it, but you've never been there, so you don't know. But unfortunately, people, they don't know that space, and they try and jump from where they are from A to Z, and it never works. It never works. And it's most noticeable in what I call a yo-yo diet. You know, listen, all of the information on planet Earth right now is free via the internet. There's no secrets out there. I don't have a secret sauce. There's no magic bullets. Nobody has a secret sauce anymore. Everybody knows. And you know what? Intuitively, hey, if I want to lose weight, I'm going to eat 5 chicken breasts a day and 5 heads of broccoli and a gallon of water, sleep for 8 hours, and work out every day. Listen, hey, there you go. You're welcome. Thanks for the podcast. Goodbye. That's how you get healthy. Okay. The reality is people won't do that.
No.
Because they don't comprehend why to do that. They don't comprehend how to make that happen. It's not part of their natural life.
Yep.
But most important, the word I'm circling around right now, it's not a habit.
Yeah.
You have to create habits, and habits develop in baby steps. Baby step habits done over a long period of time become a reality, and then that's what ultimately shapes you as who you are.
Yes.
So in the process of building small habits over a long period of time, you have a sustainable, lifelong change. That I go to A to B to C to D.
Look, man, I'm going to go straight to the fucking point, and there's a lot of people that use this keyword habit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And there's like thousands of fucking books, habit this, habit that, and do this, increase it. Like, here's the reality, right? When you get with a guy like Derek, you're getting to a proximity to a guy of experience. A guy that like straightforward, man. We spent a couple of years with each other, and like never once you would open your mouth about something that you don't know. So if you suck ass at it, like you're like, bro, I suck ass at it, like I probably should listen.
No.
But if you've done it, and if you experience it, and if you let it, you will lead it. Like that, 100% I've witnessed. So you've been the NFL guy, right? Yeah. You've been you've been the guy that has faced tragedy, and you've lost your dad, your father figure. And like in that, you have to like ultimately be self-made. And there's a reason why all these mentors have kind of showed up in your life and you have been open to it, because at the end of it, all of us need guidance.
Yes.
Like we all need, like they often say a journey of fucking 200 days can be accomplished in 2 days if you have the right guide.
Yeah.
Or else you go around the tree and come back and up the mountain, and all you needed to go is just go straight forward and get to the lake. So guidance, was it, you were open to guidance.
Always.
And
to this day.
And so it is absolutely natural that in your own pursuit of happiness, you are guiding.
Absolutely. You know, an excellent point you made, Sam. I believe you shouldn't talk about something unless you've been about that something. And I take that to heart. I'm well read and well versed in a lot of areas of life, but I don't think that I'm at a level where I should talk about and tell you how to live your life.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
But there are levels where I feel like I can.
Yes.
And in the health and wellness sector, listen, man, like I'm not blowing my own horn. I have 50 triathlons. I have 5 Ironmans. Swam the English Channel. Swam Alcatraz.
Kokoro fucking graduate with honor.
Coached 27 Hell Week camps. You know, marathons.
Bunch of
lifelong jiu-jitsu student. You know, like
let's talk about that. We didn't talk about jiu-jitsu. How many years?
I've been doing it for a while.
So like 3-4 times a week.
Yeah, right now I have an amazing gym back home, Tiger's Lair, and I get to with Pedro Diaz is my head sensei, and it's perfect for me because we're going a little bit off track, but it's a perfect environment. Listen, I'm 48
it's not
years old.
off track, man. Discipline, order, structure, all that gets built on those practices.
Yeah, it's habits, right?
It's habits.
Every morning at 5 a.m. I go to the gym.
But that's why I rather fucking call it jiu-jitsu. That's why I rather call it like you doing the push-up or running, rocking, swimming, all the shit that you do or you made me do and we did together and all that kind of stuff, because then it sounds real. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is real.
So like, and part of your program, because I've experienced it, is like, hey man, when you sign up with me and we're going to do some shit, we're going to do things really fucking differently. Here's how we're going to do things. Like, I come into your world, and I will study your world. You don't come into my world because you already know me.
It's artificial.
Yo, listen, I want to check out where you're eating, what you're doing, who are your relationship, what is happening in your life, how you're pursuing happiness right now in your day-to-day habitual, or if you want in your day-to-day action. How are you pursuing that?
Right.
I want to know that, not from your mouth, but I want to see that. Right.
Sure.
So that's the model of proximity, right?
Right.
Talk to us a little bit about that, because truly, like, there's a lot of guys that need that out there listening to this. And there's a lot of guys that truly desire to be surrounded by guys that already have a blueprint of success when it comes to business, when it comes to, marriage. At this point, we're truly talking about like, dude, like we're talking about like I would stay away from fucking coaching at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And like your program, the way I see it is mentorship. Because you're not really fucking coaching.
Yeah.
It's a blueprint of your own life. And it's something that
worked for me.
Well, the majority of guys look at that and say, well, I want to have a body like that.
Sure.
I want to have a relationship like that with my daughters, with my wife. I want to be passionate about helping and serving others. And we'll get to that, how much of your work and all your athletic journeys have always been about a service component. It's never been a selfish thing about you accomplishing an Ironman.
Never.
I've fucking witnessed that, man.
Never.
It's always been you like doing it for the right why and the right cause. And in response to that, you built this machine, this athletic machine that at 48 keeps growing and growing better than heck, even like back in the days.
Yeah.
So inside of that, this is like, it's mentorship. You know what I mean? It's like when somebody comes to you and they subscribe to your program. First of all, man, like it's not gonna be cheap because mentors are not cheap. If you find a mentor that's cheap, it's probably not a fucking mentor. It's a corrupted coach. Yeah. Like let's just put it out there. We talk about that.
I ran into a 19-year-old life coach.
Certified, right? Well, what was the thing you were telling me about certified?
Yeah, I wrote a paper a while back and a couple years back, and it was basically my beef on certified versus qualified. Anybody can get certified. Show up, take the test, pass the test, here's certification.
Correct.
But what qualifies you to speak to or act on that information? And I believe you, like I said earlier, if you're going to be about it, if you're going to talk about it, be about it.
Correct.
If I want to take guidance from somebody, I want to know that they've walked in those shoes. Yeah. I don't want to hear that they read a book and they understand it really well and they're a good orator or they can sell me
or they speak well
or they're just they just speak well and everything goes well
or they have a fucking perfect podcast studio where the fucking camera works and the mic doesn't fucking drop.
Yeah, that would suck. I want to be around people who have done what I want to do.
Yes.
Right. And so to your point, yes, I have within my program, I have a walk in your shoes program.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm talking about.
And I think it's artificial to say, like, let's say, Sam, you call me up and you want me to mentor or coach or whatever the word is that we're using. Well, if you leave your home and your ring of influence and come to my office, right?
Yes.
Well, then I'm not seeing you in your essence.
Yeah.
And I really don't know you. And whose job is it to know who? It's my job to know you.
Yeah.
So, Sam, I can't take 100 clients. I'll never do that.
That's not your model.
I'm a half a dozen people that I'll take at any given time because when I'm in, I'm all in.
Yeah, I know that.
I'm not halfway. I'm not sending you some internet program. I'm all in. And what that means is I come to my client's house.
Yeah.
And I spend 3 or 4 days with them, and we work out, and we go. I said it twice because we do a lot.
Yeah.
We go to the grocery store, and we go to their favorite eating spots, and I spend time with their family, and I maybe stop by their work, and we hang out with some of their friends. But by the time I leave, I know where you are. I know who you are.
Yeah.
And then I can adapt my blueprint to what we've decided you want to accomplish.
Yeah.
Which is ultimately, it's intuitive within you.
Correct.
You know what you want.
You already know, man.
There's no coach that's going to tell you what you want. You know what you want.
Yeah.
And the reality is you know the destination you want to arrive at.
Right.
But you don't know how to get from where you are today to that destination. And that's where a qualified coach or mentor comes in and says, hey, I see where you are. I see where you want to go. I've lived a life of doing that. I've done that before. I can build you an action plan that is small baby steps built on habits because ultimately, Sam, here's the deal. A successful mentorship means that you and I got together. I mentored you. It became your life. It became something that is long lasting for you. And there's a completion to it. You're good. I think false coaching is when I never quite teach you enough and you always have to be my client forever.
Well, the primary seed of your program is this pursuit of happiness, right? I don't want to paint that. I want to paint that for people out there and for the men that are listening to this. The majority of men out there want to work on their finances and make it better for the family. Mm-hmm. The majority of men, including myself, back in the days, I used to believe that when I will make the money, then I will do all these things that we were talking about on the podcast and everything else that I know. Which is, I'm going to be a great father. I'm going to be around for my kids. I'm gonna travel with my wife and my kids. I'm gonna, go to the church. I'm gonna be part of charity. I'm gonna do all this, right?
Yeah.
And when I say that, it's because I'm blindfolded by this image that if I have money, then I actually have induced happiness in my life. And inside of that, this will make me become the man that I said that I will be inside of all my projection of the future.
Right.
The problem with that it takes quite some time with that. Yeah. And 6-7 years goes by, and your son is now 10, 12, 16, 17. And the image that you had in your mind with you going on a family trip, which was your son at 3 and 4, is no longer there. And even if you made the money, he's 16. He doesn't want to fucking travel with you. He want to hang out with his homies.
You didn't build a relationship from the beginning.
No. So the key thing here is pursuit of happiness, because you can be making average money, you can be making a little bit of money, or you can be making a lot of money. Doesn't matter. But if you reprogram your subconscious of pursuing happiness versus identifying happiness with finances initially and saying, when I have the money, I will pay. I'm not saying if you don't have money, you'll be miserable. I'm not saying if you have a lot of money, you'll be miserable. I'm not talking about money and happiness. I'm talking about this key thing of pursuit of happiness.
Right.
Because enough is enough for guys to feel fucking guilty and shame because they don't have money, they cannot be happy. Because they don't have money, they have to beat themselves up in order to become happy one day. No, there is a possibility to be happy now, but you just don't know how. You don't have the blueprint. You don't have a mentor. You don't have a coach. It's the same fucking idiots that are trying to sell you some other shit on the internet to make you more money. And you constantly buy these programs and marketing and sales program only to find yourself not making more money. And the idea is, what if you give yourself permission to pursue happiness, which means bring harmony into your existing life?
Balance. A little bit of balance.
Dude, don't fucking change.
Yeah.
Just bring harmony into it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're exactly right, Sam. Like, if money was the common denominator in happiness, then I would expect everybody that's well off or, rich to be happy.
And that's not the case.
Are you sure that's not the case?
I think so.
That's not the case, man. That's not the case.
Man.
And we see it every day, right? We see it every day. There's still suicides at the $1 million levels, and things that marriages fall apart, and kids hate parents.
Let's go straight to the fucking point. We don't have to see the tragedies to see there's no happiness. Yeah. You know what there is? There's fucking secrets. The more money you have, the more secrets you have, the more lies you carry. The more lies you carry, the more you have to hide them, the more you're out of fucking integrity, the more you're far, far, far away from the light. And the farthest you're from the light, the more you have this need to change. Because ultimately, I can tell you this, if you're close to the light, if you're close to the divine, you won't have that much of a need of a change.
Yeah. And inherently when you need to change, it's a pressure.
It is.
When you feel that elephant sitting on your chest and you're like, man, I'm working 8 hours a week and I'm making $100,000 a month, but I'm living, whatever the lie is, that's the harmony that you and I are talking about right now. That means that your life is not harmonized. You're not in balance. Your stool is out of whack. Your platform is not growing. Yes, you may be in that one vein of like just making money or just crushing it, right? But how are your relationships?
Yes.
How's your health, right? How's your pursuit of happiness? Money doesn't bring happiness, man. If that was the case, then don't call my family because they don't have any money and they're happy as heck.
Yeah.
Like you go down my extended family, there's not a lot of money over there. They're smiling and happy, and
the power, the most powerful aspects of Dr. Derek Price today at 48 is the ability to sit down with someone and just assess current situation. We often fuck around with this and send each other pictures in current situation, like under whatever, kettlebell or whatever in the pool. But the reality is, like, hey, man, here's a current situation, right? The assessment that Dr. Derek Price brings on that particular conversation is life-changing.
Yeah.
Because there's an exposure of, fuck, okay, I guess I know where I'm at. And I can't really run away because, fuck, you're 6'4" and 20, 45. Yeah, I can catch you, man, motherfucker.
You can run, but I'll get you. Sam, it's one of those
Don't get in the water.
I don't know that I'm a great fit for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a great fit when somebody's at a place, and they can be hyper successful, right?
Yeah.
but they're just like, hey, I want to take that next step.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to bring everything back in balance. Hey, you know, I really like it, and I can identify with the fact that health and wellness and my relationships. And you know, we didn't talk about relationships, but that's not just relationship with your wife.
No.
That's relationship with yourself. Like, Sam, you don't love yourself,
you're done.
What are you going to do? Right? If you don't have your health, you know, what's that thing you told me the other day? Like, the man who has his health, and what was that?
I think it was the guy that has his health has 1,000 wishes, and when he loses his health, he only has 1 wishes.
Exactly.
Well,
yeah.
Dennis, that's exactly what
right.
you had when your arm was like that, right?
Yeah. When before my arm broke, I was like, oh, I'm going to buy this, buy that. I'm going to go this. I want to be on this video game and blah, blah, blah. My arm broke. I was like, all I want is to not hurt. Fuck. One thing. I want one thing. That's it. But yeah, so it's having all of those 3 things resonate together. And, you know, egotistically, I do believe it's hard for successful men because let's face it, if I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to be about it. I'm a man. My target audience is that, you know, that 30, 35 up to 65-year-old, you know, entrepreneur, business owner.
If you're an old fuck and you're 75, do not call Dr. Derek Price.
I didn't say that.
All right, okay.
but you know, I can never tell you what labor and delivery feels like. So, you know, can I help women? Of course. And I think we're all equal, but that's not, I can't speak to that. So
obviously
to that point, but you know, my target is that 35, 45, 55-year-old guy. And oftentimes, Sam, I come across a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And egos get in the way. And you know that with the work that you do here at Warrior. And you and Garrett, you know, shout out to Garrett for starting this whole thing. And for you, what you guys are doing is amazing. You guys are changing lives. I love it. I'm attracted to it. And that's why we're here.
You're part of it, man, yeah.
But it is hard for another man to look you in the eye and basically say, I need your help.
It is hard.
That's hard. It's the hardest thing. As a matter of fact, Sam, as a science experiment, I can put out my cell phone number.
Yeah.
My cell phone to me, not to my staff, not to my administrators, to me right now, and say, hey, if you're listening to this podcast and you seem to think that your life's out of bounds and it's that health and wellness, relationships, and pursuit of happiness, and that makes sense to me, well, call me. Hit pause and call me. 480-877-9088.
Yeah.
Okay? You know how many people are going to call? Probably none, right? Because, I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. Hey, that's the deal. That's bold move. Here's my cell phone number, you know, 480-877-9088. Call me. Go to my website.
Guaranteed. Hey, by the way, where is that website?
The website, I couldn't get highpoweredlife.com. It was taken.
You got a better one.
I got my highpoweredlife.com.
You know that. You know ownership that comes with that shit when you type it. You're like, my.
It's my highpoweredlife.com.
My highpoweredlife. So the book is coming out. You got a podcast coming out. So all this is happening in the next few weeks. Yeah. Excited for you. Excited for your family.
Yeah.
And we'll have you here on another podcast.
Well, I think that you're talking with my partner in crime over here is Dan Cirillo. I think that you guys are going to podcast.
Yeah, we're going to get Dan Cirillo here too, and then we want to have you back here, and we want to talk about a couple of your life lessons, man.
We got some fun ones, don't we?
Well, yeah, I want to talk about I want to talk about particularly 3 ones.
Okay.
Actually 4. I want to talk about your experience inside of Kokoro. I definitely want to talk about that and how you went through it yourself, but how you also mentored 27 of those and all the guys that are forever grateful to you, including myself, Garrett,
or hate me,
Coach Jesse, or hate you. But those that are smart reframe it because they know you're big and you can run fast.
Sure.
And jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it helps.
But you don't know Philippine knives.
I don't.
So
I'm just a student in jiu-jitsu.
I think the only game I can whoop your ass at is soccer. Are you a soccer player?
Yeah. I mean, I can be. You want to play?
I have a feeling I can outskill you on that game.
I don't doubt it. You're talented.
Anyway, girls play soccer. What do your girls do?
So I have 3 daughters.
Yes.
I appreciate you letting me bring them up. Kylie, Haley, Sadie. They are with my wife. It's the whole pinnacle. It's what makes me me. Without them, I'm not me. Kylie recently turned 18.
Yeah.
Very driven human being, wants to be a first responder. Got her EMT while she was still in high school. Took her NREMT and passed it first time through. But, so early on that she couldn't even pick up her license until her 18th birthday, right? Wow. And now is doing emergency room work as she's waiting to get on fire department. And just is all about, helping.
Awesome.
She wants to help humanity. She wants to be a first responder. And that's her life passion. And that happened years and years ago. It's not something that just came up. Haley is a water polo player,
Yes.
you know, and amazing. Looks like a princess and just battles you like an Amazon. And if there's any boys out there that want to date Haley, don't swim with her. She'll drown you. She thinks it's funny. She can hold her breath forever, and she'll.
And her dad can swim pretty fast too.
And I can do a little swimming. And then, but one of the things that makes me the most proud about Haley is one day a week she doesn't go to swim practice. She's on varsity swim. She does pretty well. She's in a program where she stays back at school to work with special needs students to teach them how to play instruments, because Haley plays violin in her orchestra.
Wow.
And of the accomplishments she does, that one just like that hits me in the heart. You know, like there's no fanfare to that. That's you know, it's a 16-year-old girl who's like, oh, I'm not gonna go swim on my swim team today. I'm gonna go help special needs students.
I wonder where that come from.
I love it. Makes me happy. And then my youngest one's my little princess. Little Sadie Love, and Sadie Love is her mama's daughter. Sadie Love is a dancer, you know, dance, you know, 20 hours a week. And that's, Sam, that's why I have to keep coaching and making money. Because I have a kid in dance. It's a little bit insane. But she's an amazing dancer and has a great future ahead of her.
Awesome. Yeah, and I've came out to your house. We worked out with your daughter. I had one of my best workouts, me, you, and her, and it was amazing. I've shared that multiple times with you. But I do want you back on the podcast.
Yeah, I'd love to be here.
We want to talk about, we obviously want to launch the book, and then we want to talk about the book. We want to also talk about your experience at Kokoro and how you coached many other guys through that.
Yeah.
We want to talk about your experience at Swimming the English Channel. Definitely. Thanks to Will Tabbitt for fucking supporting you and us. Shout out to Will. And then I want to talk about your multiple experiences in Ironman and how you got me involved to some degree. I want to.
I remember the first time you jumped into open water. I remember that.
I want to talk about also your experiences. We're doing all these continuous challenges, physical challenges you're doing in order to support a variety of charity and why you're doing that. So I want to get back to that.
That's the exact reason, the why.
Yes.
You know, and it's a whole nother discussion, Sam, but if you don't have a strong why to anything in life you're doing, it's just not going to work out, no matter what it is, right? Have a strong why. And if you don't know what your why is, take 5 minutes and figure it out. There
you have it. Final words from Dr. Derek Price. I want to thank my guest, Dr. Derek Price. You can find more about him at highpowerlife.com.
Or call me.
Or call him. Yeah, you got the phone number, man. You call him directly.
Yeah, call me.
And we look forward to having him on our future show. Gentlemen, if you want to hear.
I got to correct my phone number.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
480-877.
Oh, 877.
9788.
All right, there you have it, gentlemen.
Sorry. I think I said 90.
There you have it, gentlemen. We got the phone number. When a guy gives his phone number, that you're dealing with the right mentor. You know what I mean?
I want to deal with people who want to be dealt with.
Most people, read my book, do this. Like, that's the kind of guy we have on this kind of show. Straight to the fucking point.
Call me.
So if this has resonated with you, call Dr. Derek Price.
Call me. Happy to be there.
But if there's a story here that's resonated with you and deep down inside, you feel that there's a man inside of your life that could benefit from this conversation, my only request for you is to forward this podcast to him. I don't care if he's going to subscribe to the podcast. I don't care if he's going to become a fan. None of that stuff. It's truly, if you feel deep down inside of your heart that everything that me and Dr. Price said today can actually truly help a man, help his family, help his wife. And just by forwarding that to you, you forward it, you pass it, and you move on. That's all we ask for. That's why you just pay it forward. And gentlemen, have yourself a fantastic week. You can find more of our audio, video, and as well as transcript of this podcast on warriorweeknow.com. Until next time. Thanks for being on the show, Dr. Derek Price.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.